Hey, how are we doing, everybody? And welcome back into the SFS channel. My name is Gavin, and today we're going to be diving into another fantasy football draft on Underdog Fantasy. We'll be doing a 12-team best ball format today, half PPR scoring. And as always, if you're new around here, make sure to drop down, click that subscribe button, and all that great stuff to join the SFS community. But more importantly, if you want to play best ball with me this season, or if you want to check out some of these drafts for yourself, check out Underdog Fantasy. The link is in the description of today's episode. When you sign up as a new user and use promo code SFS, Underdog is going to double your money for you, and you're going to get access to the draft guide for the entire next calendar year that includes all of my in-season content, weekly rankings, positional lineup values for, again, weeks 1 through 18, advice directly from myself. You'll get access to my DMs on the SFS community Discord server, which can also be found in the description of today's episode. So again, check out Underdog Fantasy. I'll probably pin a comment with a link to sign up. And again, promo code SFS. And then you just got to let me know your username. You can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or again, send a message in that SFS community Discord server, and I will get you access, again, until next June on sizzlefantasy.com to all of that great draft guide stuff. They're in constant communication with me, that being Underdog, letting me know usernames and whatnot. So when you let me know your username, provide proof that you signed up with promo code SFS, we're going to get all that great stuff for you, and it's going to be a great 2022 fantasy football season. So I'm pumped to dive into today's draft. Again, one more time, promo code SFS. I'll see you in the draft. Boom, here we go. We have arrived on the draft board. Today we'll be selecting with the 1.4 pick overall. Draft kicks off in about 40 seconds here. So I'll give you guys a quick rundown for best ball today. We're looking to not stack up bye weeks first and foremost. That's something that I have made a few mistakes along the way here in the first few episodes. I believe this is the 4th best ball draft you'll be seeing from me on Underdog Fantasy this offseason. I think this is the best platform to do your drafts on, whether you just want to join a best ball league to try and win some cash, because obviously, you pay a couple of dollars here to get into these drafts, and you can win some nice prizes on the back end if your team does well throughout the season. But we're looking to keep those bye weeks differentiated to an extent between positions. And then we're looking for upside, baby. That's what we want. We want those guys who are going to have the highest potential weekly output in our scoring department here to give us the best chance to win, because obviously the more upside you've got, the more chance that you find players and accrue them that hit on those ceilings each week, and then you can put together some pretty nasty lineups every week. 1.4 here. We'll see what ends up happening. I would kill to get Justin Jefferson here. I think he's got a great chance to be the wide receiver 1 this season. I love Cooper Kupp. I think he's the safest option on the board. Obviously injuries aside with these players, but he's got a chance to be a very, very safe guy to crush, and you're actually seeing his ADP, and you see it play out here, surpass CMC. So instead of it being Jonathan Taylor, then Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp is now kind of slotting into that second position. So I'm going to go ahead here and take Justin Jefferson. This is the first share I've gotten of him in best ball drafts this season. I'm very excited to be able to pick him up here. Again, wide receiver 1 overall potential here with Jefferson, a guy who in his first 2 seasons has absolutely dominated. And while he might not have the quarterback play of a Matt Stafford tied to Cooper Kupp or a Joe Burrow tied to Jamar Chase there, I certainly think that Kirk Cousins is well suited enough to get the job done. Jefferson was, top of the league last year in air yards. Kirk's throwing that ball up to him, letting him go get it. And you've got a player who has a complete skill set, runs the entire route tree at an elite level, and is fantastic at playing the football. So super happy with that pick there. I think that gives me a ton of upside at the wide receiver position, which is always something that you're looking for. Again, we're going to keep an eye on that week 7 bye for the wide receiver position. So love to see kind of some gutsy plays here at the 110 going DeAndre Swift. That's a player who I think has top 5 running back upside. You're talking about a player who can absolutely crush on his ADP this year. He's only played 13 games in each of his first 2 seasons as a Lion, but his receiving volume is off the charts. He's, top 3 in the NFL in terms of routes run at the running back position. And again, you're getting that dream fantasy football skill set. You get cheat codes with running quarterbacks and receiving running backs. And DeAndre Swift is definitely one of the most talented pass-catching RBs, along with your CMCs, your Austin Eckler's, your Alvin Kamara's. We'll see what happens with his legal situations. Also, speaking of legal situations, two big news events here since I last recorded a video or talked about these topics. But Jerry Jeudy has been had his misdemeanor or whatever the heck it was, it's dismissed. So it's no longer an issue. Draft away Jerry Jeudy. I'm interested to see how that'll affect his ADP here. It's been about a day since that news broke. And I'm actually going to go take a peek at him here to see if that had any positive implications. It has not to this point. So I think his ADP is actually dropped by about half a pick or so, maybe even a full pick. But nonetheless, I've been drafting. I believe in those 4 drafts, I've got either 2 or 3 shares of Jerry Jeudy this season. I could not be more excited. I'm very bullish on both him and Courtland Sutton, but I think Jeudy is going to get the lion's share of the target volume in that offense. So super, super high on both of those players. I think they have phenomenal potential here this upcoming season. So that's You no longer have to worry about that off-the-field issue with Jerry Jeudy. Again, those charges were dismissed. And then Deshaun Watson had a 23rd allegation against him. I believe that came out, the first I saw it was either late last night or earlier this morning. I can't remember, both of which I was very sleepy in those instances. So forgive me. The importance, though, is that he is yet again having issues put in front of him. So I really do not know at this point in time what the NFL is going to do with that information, with that news. How are they going to approach that situation? Will it be a suspension in 2022? Will that come in 2023? They've been very sluggish with their investigation because they want to make sure that they get all the facts and details correct. So, again, that's something to continue following very, very closely. So I'm up here in 3 picks. I could either draft a running back. I'm not super bullish on Tyreek Hill this season. I think at the right price, he's a fair pick, but not very interested in him here. I would probably take a Deebo Samuel if I had to. Otherwise, I might just go after Leonard Fournette here with Aaron Jones off the board. Love his pass-catching game involvement. He was actually, I believe, 3rd at the running back position. I could be wrong, so fact-check me on that. But I believe he was 3rd in targets and receptions at the running back position. He also had a very, very good number in red zone touches last season. Just things I'm pulling off the top of my head here that I remember from breaking him down. So the question looms here, do I want to double dip at the wide receiver position and get 2 players with immense upside there, different bye weeks as well, and kind of play things that way? Or do I want, and I've got another pick here, James Conner is on the board. Let's just see who would I be comfortable with taking here. I think I actually might go with the value pick here and draft Deebo Samuel. There is still some question marks, some concerns. Will he play? I really wanted Fournette there, but I am going to be up on the clock here in 5 picks, 6 picks. It actually tells me over there on the right-hand side of the screen. So we'll see what happens and plays out here at the running back position. I'd be fine with Javonte, Saquon, or James Conner. All of them, or a couple of them, do have Week 9 buys, which line up with Deebo, but in terms of building upside for this roster, this is an approach I have not taken yet in a video, so would love to see how this ends up playing out for me here. But essentially, Leonard Fournette, had I drafted him there, has very positive things going in his favor. Ronald Jones is no longer there. Yes, they did draft Rachaad White, but we'll see how quickly they implement him to that situation. But again, Fournette's pass-catching game involvement was phenomenal last year, with Tom Brady leading that offense and having a very high offensive production volume as a total 11-man or 11-man plus unit. Obviously, with guys subbing in and out off the bench and having situational roles there, that's a great situation to be in Tampa Bay. So very fond of that. But again, we ended up going Deebo Samuel. He fell to us about 5 picks below his ADP. Very reasonable, of course, because he could hold out. He could demand a trade. That situation is very malleable at this point in time. So you could see things formed and shifted in ways that aren't great. So, man, this next pick here, I'm still a bit puzzled as to how James Conner's ADP is as low as it is, because I think he's very, very comparable to a Leonard Fournette. Arizona still got high offensive production potential. Yes, James Conner did have 18 TDs last season, which could be penciled in for some regression here. And we'll see. We might just get auto pick to fall into our laps? Probably T. Higgins is going to go off the board there. No, Ezekiel. Okay, all right. You hit the buzzer beater with Zeke. That's surprising to me. So the Cardinals did just bring in Darrell Williams. I don't want to totally go RB0 here and not draft one of those players. I do feel very comfortable with the position group that I've put together. So I think I'm going to go James Conner and get my first share of him for this season, draft him a little bit above value there. But you're talking about a player who flashed very great receiving potential down the stretch last year. Chase Edmonds got a little bit banged up down the stretch, missed a couple of games, and then James Conner came in and thrived, showing that he's not only a dominant asset on the goal line, but also someone that can give you a heck of a lot of value in the receiving game. Had a few nasty one-handed grabs, and obviously just running routes out of the backfield was very productive last season. So that's a huge plus for me. You've got a team led by Kyler Murray, which will not have DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games of the season. So potential there to lean on the run game a bit more and give him even more bullish numbers. And I think that, again, with Chase Edmonds departing and going to Miami, there's a very nice situation to be had there where you can potentially have a top 12 finisher that I just drafted in the early stages of the 3rd round. So, yes, there are other players that are on the board. I mean, Mike Williams would have given me phenomenal upside, a really safe floor with Keenan Allen. I think the upside with Pittman and Higgins is quite nice as well. Could have had the consensus QB1 for this season. There probably are still some Mahomes guys out there or players who like others. But in general, I'd say the most popular RB1 for this QB1 for this upcoming season is still Josh Allen. But love that pick there. I feel very comfortable with those first 3 selections. I think that things actually played out quite well for us, and we've got quite a bit of upside heading into round 4 here. We are still 10 picks away. I have drafted a few shares of Kyle Pitts in the 3rd round in these best ball drafts. Again, if you have not checked out Underdog Fantasy, you need to do so. I have a link in the description of today's episode to join Underdog. When you use promo code SFS, you're going to get double your money that you deposit when you sign up. And then you just got to get a hold of me. Let me know what your username is and that you signed up for Underdog using promo code SFS and that referral link in the description. And I'll get you hooked up with draft guide access. And again, weekly lineup advice and all that great stuff throughout this entire fantasy football season as long as you sign up here early in the month of June. So June 1st is today. You'll be seeing this video for the first time. Maybe you're watching it a bit later than that. You've got until June 30th to sign up with that code and get access for the entire year. And then once we get into July and August, you're still going to get the draft guides for free and all that great stuff, but we're going to limit the in-season benefits a little bit. So sign up for that early. Promo code SFS, free draft guide. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, either of those DMs. Let me know your username, and we'll get you set up with that stuff on sizzlefantasy.com. Underdog's super fun. They got prop bets as well. All sports, well, not all sports, but baseball, basketball. It's not just football here. Lots of fun stuff to check out. And I love doing these best ball drafts. I think they're, again, the best tool for drafts, mock drafts, whatever you want to call it and consider it. So I've got a predicament here. So I really want to draft Jerry Jeudy. And I would be kind of breaking code a little bit for 1 week. Oh, this is going to line up perfect. What week? Yes. Okay. I'm going to draft... Ooh, I could draft Amari Cooper too, but I just saw a report that Deshaun might be suspended for this whole season. We're going to do it. Oof, we got him at the buzzer. So I'm breaking code slightly. Both Debo and Jerry Jeudy have week 9 buys. I was really going back and forth between him and Amari Cooper. With that 23rd allegation against Deshaun, it gives me a little worry for Amari Cooper just because if you're not catching passes from Deshaun Watson, that's an obvious knock on your situation. I was this close to going Justin Herbert, but there are quarterbacks later that I absolutely freaking love this season. So again, week 9 might be a bit rough for me with those 2 out, but we're going to draft plenty more wide receivers with upside. What I saw here is that James Conner has week 13 bye. Travis Etienne, another guy I'm super high on for this season. Doug Peterson's lead back gets about 4.4 opportunities per game, so that being targets in the receiving game, and with Travis Etienne's skill set being beautiful for pass catching, being tied to Trevor Lawrence's college quarterback, Trevor Lawrence leading the NFL in checkdown passes last year, the situation seems so set up for success to give Etienne a lot of volume in that pass catching role, and they don't have a legitimate wide receiver one, so I wouldn't be surprised if Travis Etienne gets north of a 15% target share of this offense, and J-Rob had a December Achilles injury. So all things lining up for Travis Etienne to have a monster season, to crush on his ADP, and I would freaking love to draft him here. And it's a bit of a reach at the top of the 5th round, the 5.4 overall pick. But if he's there, baby, I'm taking him. I'm taking him over a David Montgomery. I'm not looking to get in on a George Kittle. So Justin Herbert fell quite a bit down the board there. Lamar would be a nice pick here, but I've got my eyes kind of set on a Jalen Hurts, or if he's gone, I will take somebody else. So another interesting name. So this is my first year of Travis Etienne. Loving how this board is coming together here today. What was it? Gabe Davis. So his ADP, because he is supposed to be the number 2 wide receiver for Josh Allen this season, has absolutely rocketed up, and I see it continues to rise here. I'm starting to get a bit worried that we have a lacking sample size of elite production from Davis. Now, his ceiling is massive because he can stretch the field, and again, he has one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL throwing him the football. But the last game we have in our memory is the divisional round performance with 200-plus yards and 4 TDs against Kansas City. He has not shown us consistently that's obviously no one can put up those numbers consistently, but we haven't even seen a 15 to 20% target share consistently. I mean, Gabe Davis had, I believe, a 10.9% target share last season, and although you had Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley, so he was technically the number 4 option there, I feel a bit worried about this particular draft price. I am not arguing that the ceiling is phenomenal. It's fantastic, and you're seeing guys reach for the running back position. 5 straight picks after I took Etienne are a run on RBs there, which I will mention as well. I do like Etienne's upside in best ball more than any of these other players. Dobbins has ridiculous upside, but I am very worried about how he's going to factor in, because Baltimore is not going to commit to a true workhorse back. They're going to run a committee. They're going to have guys with different uses in that offense. I can see Gus Edwards coming back off his injury this season, stealing a lot of goal line volume. Montgomery, I am similar. I would say Montgomery would be the next guy I would take if I were to have taken anyone over Etienne. But again, I did have all those options, so I made that choice very consciously. Montgomery, I'm worried about the situation in Chicago because I think that their offense managed to find a way to get worse this season unless Justin Fields becomes a quarterback miles better than he was last year. I just don't see how this team gets better, losing A-Rob and bringing in and replacing him with a 25-year-old Velus Jones. So Montgomery's going to be on the field a lot. He's going to see a lot of volume, but how much touchdown potential is he going to have with the ceiling of the Bears offense? And he's going to have to catch a ton of passes to make up for that lacking offensive ceiling total, even though he was, again, heavily utilized the last 2 years. So we are 6 picks away here. Who were we talking about prior to that, though? I feel like I was... So anyways, Jacksonville's lacking a true number 1 receiver. They brought in Christian Kirk, which is great. They lost DJ Chark, though, so you kind of, give one, take one type of a thing. Christian Kirk can be very productive, but I wouldn't say he's a top 32 receiver in the league. There are definitely number 2 receivers on teams better than Christian Kirk, hence and Allen Robinson with the LA Rams this year. So I think there's a lot of receiving work to be had for Travis Etienne. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go north of 5 opportunities in the passing game per contest here. So loving the upside I've got with this team so far. We will see what this 6.9 pick presents the opportunity for. I love a Jalen Hurts here. He would be another Week 7 bye. Kyler Murray would be another Week 13 bye. It would be stacking Cardinals there, obviously. We might just get him if he very well could go off the board, which would suck, but it is possible. There are options I like, though. This might be my favorite first 6 rounds of any best ball draft I've done so far this season. I'm just loving the value we scooped up. Even players that we reached on, like an Etienne, feeling really comfortable with them manning that position. I'm shocked to see Dalton Schultz go here that early, but I guess it's not really a crime to do that because look at all the targets that got vacated in Dallas this offseason between Cooper and Gallup and Gallup was injured. He's coming back, but Cedric Wilson as well. And I'm going to do something I did again in a previous video, and that's drafting Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray. I think Jalen Hurts easily finishes as a top 5 quarterback this season. I've talked about this in my must drafts video earlier on this week. Go check that episode out if you have not done so already. We also posted a few other episodes, must avoid players, and we've actually got 2 parts of our 5 must draft players list. So 10 total. Go check those videos out. But essentially here, my thought process and reasoning for drafting Jalen Hurts over Kyler Murray is that you've got an opportunity for a quarterback who I think is bigger and more physical than Kyler, which we've seen get injured down the stretch and have his fantasy point productions fade late in the season after he gets nicked. He kind of got banged up against the Packers last year, and then after that wasn't quite the same player. Don't get me wrong, Kyler Murray's ceiling as a fantasy QB is as high as anyone, and he has elite upside at that position, but definitely something that is somewhat troubling to me. I am praying that Treylon Burks falls to me here at the 7-4. I would love Adam Thielen, but what that does is it makes it that my 4 receivers have 2 pairs of similar bye weeks, so I want to kind of break that up and diversify things a little bit here. I also don't want to draft D-Hop because although I think he'll produce fantastically week 7 and beyond, that's a week 13 bye that I share with James Conner, and I don't want to be without A, Hopkins for 6 weeks, and then B, James Conner and Hopkins on the same timeline. It would have been great if Arizona had like a week 4 to 6 bye in one of those. Actually, the suspension wouldn't have factored in, and frick, there goes Treylon Burks. Here's what I'm actually gonna do. So I'm gonna deepen the running back core with this pick. I'm gonna pick CEH, who is someone who I also think is a great value in drafts right now. Let me just peek at that running back group. Kenneth Walker is also an option that I really like, and will definitely draft a share of him or multiple shares of him this offseason. But for now, I feel pretty dang comfortable with Travis Etienne as my RB3, or excuse me, with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I was looking at Travis Etienne on my draft board there. Who are we talking about, though? Oh, so I'll get to these picks in a second. We've got 15 before our next selection. Essentially, Jalen Hurts, though, his rushing volume is elite. He's still someone that gives you a lot and brings a lot to the table as a rushing threat, which gives him QB1 overall upside. What he has to do, though, and again, I am more comfortable with his ability to stay healthy and not get injured. I think that, again, Kyler Murray has the potential to be the QB1 as well. He just can't get nicked. And we saw him get a little bit dinged up against Green Bay last season. Wasn't quite the same player after those injuries, and that wear and tear started to nag at him a bit. So Jalen Hurts was pretty much a far below average abysmal passer last year. 61.3% completion percentage. As many touchdown passes as Cooper Kupp had receiving touchdowns. Awful. But you bring A.J. Brown into the situation, which I don't think helps A.J. Brown, but I do think it helps the efficiency and the ability of Jalen Hurts as a passer to raise that 3,100 yards passing to maybe 3,500 yards passing. Maybe he goes from 16 TD passes to 21 or 22 TD passes, and if he maintains the level of rushing volume, that's screaming top 5 QB. First of all, he finished as the QB9 in 15 games last year, and then it really opens the door for top 3 QB potential. He averaged just over 21.5 points per, or maybe it's 21.2 or 21.3. Regardless, something 21 plus fantasy points per game last season. And Josh Allen finished as the QB1 with 24.56 points per game. So you've got to improve by about 3.5 points per game. You can do that by raising your passing efficiency and producing just a bit more in that phase of things. But by improving your receiving core, getting a first-round pick in Devontae Smith into year 2, as now I would argue your number 2 option in the passing game, and still having Dallas Goddard to utilize, I think those are all very positive things to take away. So I don't think Kenneth Walker falls to us here. It would be a second running back with week 11 bye. Don't think he makes it to us in 4 picks here. But I did want to mention him just a little bit because Rashad Penny's already dealing with camp injuries. You still technically got Chris Carson there. I really don't know what's going to happen with him. That's a big wild card for me right now. I just don't know about his health. That neck issue was pretty severe last season. But Kenneth Walker definitely is one of those players who has ridiculous upside in a best ball format, and that could help guys run away with leagues down the stretch of next season. I do want to peek back at wide receiver here this round. Wouldn't mind a Sky Moore. There he goes. The pick might end up being Kenneth Walker here and dipping again into that position group. We do only have 3 receivers, but I feel pretty dang good about them. And down the stretch of these drafts, I would say receiver is probably the easiest position to find upside. Great. All right, now we're really caught with our pants down here, and we're going to have to scramble to find someone to draft. Lazard as a week 14 bye. I'd be interested in that. Christian Watson as well. I don't want to reach all the way down there, though. Basically, the reason for me passing on Tyler Lockett is I have no faith in Drew Lock. Okay, I'm going to see if I can come back to Christian Watson. I hate to do this because I'm going to have 2 Eagles with week 7 buys as well as Justin Jefferson, but they're different positions, so at the end of the day, I'm not freaking out about it. I'm going to draft Dallas Goddard, a tight end I feel very comfortable with. Yes, he's probably not a top 5 tight end, but somewhere between that 6 to 8 range, I wouldn't be shocked. And when he's healthy, he's very competent and capable of having some pretty big games and pretty big weeks. So we're going to go there and then hope that in 6 picks here, A, Allen Lazard is on the board, or B, Christian Watson are still there. I feel very comfortable with those 2 in the Packers offense this season, giving me quality numbers. And that gives me some differentiation in the bye week game here. So I love Garrett Wilson in Dynasty. He is my rookie wide receiver 1 in that class. I just simply think he's the best player at the wide receiver position. People are going to debate me, and obviously the popular take is Drake London, but I'm not nearly as high on him as consensus is. However, the situation until we really know about Zach Wilson is not ideal, so in redraft, I'm not quite as bullish in the 2022 season for Wilson as I am for some of these other names. But I think this is going to play out perfect. I'd be shocked in the next 4 picks to see Lazard and Christian Watson go. The upside resides with Christian Watson, I would say, just because he's a better athlete, has more physical gifts that Lazard just doesn't have. But the safety is probably drafting Allen Lazard. So that's not necessarily what you always care about in these type of formats, though, either. But Christian Watson is certainly capable of providing those nasty high upside weeks. So I might just go that route here and totally just jump over Lazard with Christian Watson just because of the best ball format. Damian Harris, someone I'm not interested in. Kareem Hunt would be another week 9 player, but again, not super interested in him either. There goes Damian Harris, so be my guest. Draft a guy who's got 5 other running backs with a million different purposes there. Ramondre Stevenson, James White, J.J. Taylor was getting touches last year. It's just such a disaster with how many guys are getting carries and niche roles in that New England offense. It's pretty wild stuff. 1 pick here. Will they make the decision for us, or will we get to choose? And again, and there goes the quarterback. I am very comfortable here taking the gamble on Christian Watson to bunny hop and be the most productive wide receiver in that Packers offense. 25% target share is not out of the realm of possibility. Now, again, he is a raw prospect from a smaller level of competition in terms of NDSU not being a Division I program. But again, you can't teach 6'5", 4.36 speed. That is something that if the wide receiver coaching staff in Green Bay can get this kid on the field and get him doing what Aaron Rodgers needs him to do, and Aaron Rodgers does not need him to separate at a nasty level like a Devontae Adams could to put the ball in position to be caught and to thread the needle. Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback with the best ball placement of any quarterback in this league. So if he can separate vertically and make huge plays downfield, and then on the other routes, if he's still raw and working on developing that skill set, and Rodgers can just thread the needle again and put the ball on his chest plate or, in the triangle, they always say to target kind of this triangle right here if you're a QB, I see no reason why that can't work out this season. Very bullish, very excited about the opportunity for Christian Watson to crush, especially being my wide receiver 4. It's not like I need him right away. Who knows? Maybe by this week 9 bye week stack there, I've got quite the wide receiver 4-headed monster coming to bite off your kneecaps, which is what I want to do here with this next pick and snatch up a Jameson Williams with a week 6 bye. I'd just be dumping propane on the campfire here and about to light things off on fire. So this could be, I might feel the best about this draft, like I said, of any other one I've done so far. Just because I freaking love the upside I've got at wide receiver. I think running back, it's always a risky game when you're talking running back because injuries are so prevalent and common at the position. But if this team stays healthy, I think the sky's the limit. And again, to me, it's ridiculous that Rondale Moore's ADP is higher than a guy in Jameson Williams, which I could be wrong, but he might have just got drafted. He did. So that's how it goes here. Best ball formats, you guys know what they're doing. That's why you play Underdog Fantasy. It's the most competitive leagues. Get the best ADP here. Love this stuff. Promo code SFS. Get double your money. And the draft guide's free on sizzlefantasy.com. Go check it out, guys. Helps me out a lot. And, of course, I want to be playing with you guys this season, interacting with you guys, joining leagues, playing best ball. Take me on. See if you can beat me. I would love to see it. Let's get some leagues tossed together. Again, join the SFS community Discord server. The invite link is in the description of today's episode. And I'll be sending links in there throughout the summer, joining 3-man up to 12-man best ball leagues, slow drafts, whatever we want to do. Again, promo code SFS. The link to join Underdog will be pinned in the comment section as well as in the description of today's episode. And they'll match you up to $100. So if you put $100 in Underdog, they'll give you $200 to play with. And again, reach out to me. Show me use the code. We'll get you hooked up with all the draft guide stuff for the next calendar year. And again, that includes in-season advice for this season for your redraft league. So can't get better than that this year, guys. One pick away, I really got to figure out what the heck I'm going to be doing here. I wouldn't mind snatching up my second quarterback in Trey Lance if he's available, which he is. Just going to make sure there's no receivers that I'm super in love with here, which there really isn't, which sucks because I really, 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 really wanted some Jameson Williams, and I would have been pumped to see that play out the way I wanted it to. Naheem Hines wouldn't be someone bad to dabble with. Tyler Algier, Darrell Henderson, all potential players for my next pick here. I'm going to, we're on the clock there. Oh, missed my pick. It should auto-pick me Trey Lance. It did, which is who I wanted there. Got that second quarterback position locked up. Trey Lance is another guy who has an outside shot to finish as a top 6 QB in fantasy this year, solely because of his athleticism, his rushing ability, and he's got a rocket arm. Might not be the most accurate guy right now, might not have a perfect release, but he's got weapons. You've got Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel, and yes, he does have another Week 9 bye, which again pairs up with 2 of the receivers we've drafted today, but really the only time I would really want to need him is Week 7 when Hurts is out. And he should be available for that game. I'd be totally stunned to see Jimmy Garoppolo starting for San Francisco this season. You got to figure out what the heck is going on with Trey Lance if you traded 3 first-round picks, which is exactly what they did, to acquire Trey Lance in the 2021 NFL Draft. So I think they got to do it, and I think that, again, his skill set is very, very good to crush on his fantasy ADP here. Sneaky shot to be a top QB this season. Again, for fantasy purposes, I do not expect him to be the most refined player. I think you're going to see some imperfections in his game. But I think that, again, he's going to go out there and he's going to crush it. Tim Patrick is someone really sneaky. It's a Week 9 bye, so I'm probably not going to draft him here. But just to let you know, I'm at least peeking at him. Wouldn't mind drafting Rachaad White. McCole Hardman's interesting. Do I have any Week 8 bye receivers? I don't. I'm going to draft Rachaad White because I love his skill set. Now, he's my RB4, which is important to note here. Really, the only way I see him getting out there and putting up dominant fantasy numbers is if something happens to Leonard Fournette, which is obviously something we're not expecting to happen, but I think that if he gets the chance to play, he has really high upside. I wanted to wait around to draft a Naheem Hines, who I think is going to catch a filthy number of passes this year. Funny enough, Frank Reich actually said that you should be drafting Naheem in your fantasy leagues this season. We'll see about that, but at the end of the day, I did want to add a little bit more depth there. I felt as comfortable with him as I did with any of the receivers. I didn't feel that they lined up perfect with our team. I would have drafted Tim Patrick if I didn't already have a Denver receiver or 2 players with Week 9 buys. I definitely wouldn't mind scooping up a Jamison Crowder in around here, maybe a Van Jefferson. Again, guys with really nice upside. Devontae Parker definitely has a unique skill set to the Pats offense, but not super confident in him either. We'll see Jarvis Landry, possession receiver for New Orleans. I think he gets outshined by both Olave and MT on that team this season. Lots of Week 9 buys, dude. That's killer, man. Lots of Week 9 buys. Those have been pretty much the main culprit for me in drafts this season in terms of limiting my upside positionally. 12 picks away still. Leave a like on today's episode if you're enjoying today's video. Again, if you guys are new around here, join the community, click the subscribe button, join the Discord server. We're going to have a lot of fun this offseason and get a lot of stuff put together here. Go check out SFS on social media as well, at Sizzle Fantasy Sports on Instagram, at Sizzle Fantasy on Twitter. I'm sure if you're watching to this point in the video, you've probably seen the Twitter animation flash across the screen at least a couple of times. And, the links to all the social medias, TikTok included, are in the description. I just started posting some reel content, reels, not like R-E-A-L, like real, but R-E-E-L, on Instagram. Obviously, TikTok content, YouTube Shorts we're putting up. It's pretty much the same content, but a different way to consume it. Would be interested in picking up a second tight end. However, Irv Smith is kind of the guy I like right now. And he has a Week 7 bye at Dallas Goddard. So that basically renders him useless to this team because obviously the 1 week you're going to want him for. And yes, Irv and Dallas could go back and forth in terms of weekly productivity, but you don't want to be caught with your pants down for 1 week and have no one to play at a position, which is what I'm trying to avoid here at the end of the day. But sometimes you just have to suck it up and kiss the value goodbye. Or at least that week goodbye. And, for me, having Debo and Jerry Jeudy was too good to pass on, so I just had to do it. But if it was a situation where I wasn't, receiver's a position you can make deep. You can definitely add depth late in drafts. But, quarterback or tight end, you don't really want to be drafting more than 2. Never more than 3, I would say, in these best ball platforms. So just trying to maximize utility at the other positions is essentially what we're going for here. Mecole Hardman fell pretty dang hard. The thing is with him, I feel like he's the number 3 receiver at best, and he's just never been able to crush on his ADP, so I would almost rather go Jacoby Myers because, again, he's a unique bye week to this team. Again, not that I care about that too much, but I do think it's important. There goes Mecole Hardman. I think he's going to get a healthy amount of targets, and I think that he could just be a bailout player if everyone decides to flop in a given week. I think it could work out fairly well. I've got a few shares of him already. I might come back here. I definitely think a Van Jefferson has higher upside and ceiling, but I think that we've already got a ton of upside on this team. I would be super, again, interested with this next draft pick, and it looks like Hines is gone. So Henderson or definitely Algier. We saw Mike Davis get cut, which is big news because I think that leaves Algier as the most natural running back, if you will. They did bring in Damian Williams into that Atlanta backfield as well, but I mean, you've got Patterson back there who can be a receiver or a running back. We'll see how they end up using him this season. Darrell Henderson, someone with, I wouldn't expect, excuse me, a fully healthy, Darrell Williams, by the way, is now a Cardinal. He is not a Chief anymore. He's someone who I expect to be involved very much so for the first quarter to half of the season, while Cam Akers still tries to get 100%. Flashing alert here is that if I can scoop up Jahan Dotson with this next pick, I will definitely do that because although I love Algier, I think that Dotson just gives me a lot of upside at that receiver position. So just to give you a quick insight into my thought process right now. Other than that, I might go, let's see, I don't have any Week 7 running backs. I don't have any Week 14 running backs. Who is the pick? DJ Chark was the pick. Interesting. So do I want to, screw it, we're going to load up at receiver one more time. I think that I do have one similarity there, and I'm not going to get another shot. you know what? There's more receivers I can draft. I'm gonna take my final running back here, and we're gonna go with Tyler Algier. Has an outside shot to be a starter sometime this season. That should put the cap on that running back position. I really wanted Jahan Dotson, but I've already drafted him in a couple of best ball formats this season. I think I've got him in 2 leagues right now. Have not drafted Tyler Algier yet. Haven't gotten the opportunity to do that just yet. So I feel pretty nice about picking him up there again. If he gets the early down work in Atlanta, it's worth something, right? Maybe it doesn't happen right away. Maybe it's a late season breakout. Maybe it never happens, but I do think that the upside was worth that pick there. I considered David Njoku a tight end I love here to pair as my second option, but I'll be able to scoop up receivers later. Love Josh Palmer's upside. Alec Pierce has great upside as well. Marvin Jones, Sammy Watkins. These are guys who still have very realistic potential to be utilized in offenses this year. AJ Green, another guy. Kendrick Bourne's kind of underrated a little bit here. I love OBJ, but I just don't see him. I don't know if OBJ plays a game this year. I've said this a couple times, but if you look at how long it took him to recover from the ACL in Cleveland, and then look at how late in the year he tore that same ACL in the Super Bowl, the literal last game of the season, the last opportunity in a game you had to tear your ACL, OBJ did it. And I don't know if he makes a full recovery and plays football this season. I think that he's still a fine player. We'll see. He might be a totally different guy coming back off of ACL number 2, but I don't think he'll be ready for week 1 for sure. I'd be shocked to see him ready by the trade deadline. I just don't know if he makes it back out there. And you know, he's projected 123.5 points in half PPR. If Odell plays 12 games this year and scores 10 points per game, that's about what it's going to take to get him that number. I don't think he gets there. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Will OBJ play a significant amount of games this season? I'm very skeptical. I would love to see it. I root for OBJ. I like the guy. But I feel like we're overestimating and putting too much hope into the fact that he's going to recover in a quick timeline here. So a week 8 bye would be perfect to draft a Josh Palmer, who's the number 3 wide receiver in LA right now. Again, I really like his upside. Can't really draft, or I can draft KJ Osborne, but I don't want to have 2 receivers. With this next pick here, that would be both playing for Minnesota. Although I do think KJ Osborne's a really nice player. I've drafted him again in 2 best ball formats. So really trying to diversify our investments here. And you know, it's not like I like a set group of 18 players. These drafts are 18 rounds that I'm going to draft every single time. I'm going to make these videos a little different for you guys, give you my angles and perspectives on different players. So again, all the more reason to tune into these videos on a regular basis. But for me right now, it just makes more sense to draft a Josh Palmer, who has a unique bye week to this team, and I think has a ton of upside. And I've already drafted Alec Pierce as well. He has a ton of upside when you talk about, and I'll get one of those 2 players regardless. This best ball format, catching passes from Justin Herbert, being a boundary weapon. I just think it's too good of a situation to pass on here to get him as my wide receiver 6 for this team. It seems like a win-win at almost every turn. So 3, 2, 1. Boom. Who's the pick there? KJ Osborne. Perfect. Thank you. Josh Palmer it is. 6 picks away from our next selection. Thank you guys for sticking with me, watching today's episode. Remember, promo code SFS on Underdog Fantasy gets you the draft guide for free until June 1st of 2023. Also, click that subscribe button, join the community. We're trying to grow here. That's basically our main objective for this summer. I want to help out as many of you guys as possible, weeks 1 through 18 of this upcoming season, and of course, help you guys crush your drafts this year. So that's what we're all about here on the SFS channel. I want to be the most interactive channel on YouTube for you guys, so I apologize I have not mentioned this to this point in the video, but if you guys have questions, please feel free to put those in the comment section below. I love chatting with you guys, giving you guys my insight, my takes, whatever. If you've got your own fantasy take, drop it down in the comments. Again, I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. I'll let you know whether I agree or disagree. Of course, you're always welcome to let me know how you feel about my picks. I'm sure that, you know, you guys would have done something differently at certain spots on the board than I chose to go. Again, I do try to make these videos a little bit different for you guys every time to give you unique content in each draft that we do. But again, Let me know what you guys are thinking about the draft as I'm making my picks today. We are in round 15, so we've got 15, 16, 17, 4 more picks to go. We're about to have 3 picks because we're about to scoop someone else up here. I do want to sneak a peek here at the tight end position. I do think that Gerald Everett or Hayden Hurst would be interesting options to take as that tight end 2. I haven't drafted a share of Gerald Everett, and I don't mind having 2 Chargers, picking them back-to-back here, just because Josh Palmer was so low on the draft board that I'm probably not going to have him in my lineup on most occasions. But B, I have not drafted a share of Gerald Everett yet this season. And again, anyone catching passes from Justin Herbert immediately has upside. Even if you want to go back and talk about a Jalen Guyton, he still technically has best ball value, for the season, because he's a guy who's a deep threat and therefore poses nice quality upside on any given week when he splits the middle of the field and catches a ball up the seam for a huge play. So having Everett here, a guy who, you've seen some tight end targets have success here in this LA offense in the first 2 seasons of Justin Herbert. I think that Everett is definitely the guy there this season. Who knows? Maybe he outscores Dallas Goddard a few weeks here. He gives us that bye week option in our lineups. And from here on out, it's basically best player available. I mean, I've addressed every position. I've got 3 picks to go here. We are 15 picks away. So 3 more selections will be made in today's video. But I'm absolutely loving the way this team has come together here. And again, I think we've got a lot of flexibility opened up for how we're going to address the rest of this team going forward here. So we do have some players like Julio Jones who are still unsigned. Lots of interesting names here down the board. These are the spots on the board here where you can really find league-winning players if you find the right guys, project them out correctly. I'll actually just queue up some guys while we're waiting here that I like going forward. So I do think KJ Hamler's interesting. I think that being a vertical weapon in that offense, he is coming off an ACL injury, but he does have a lot of upside, a lot of ceiling. He came out and said to the media the other day that he wants to be Russell Wilson's Tyler Lockett with the Denver Broncos, which more power to him if he's able to do that. I've got him on the taxi squad in a dynasty league, so I would definitely be okay seeing that happen. Although I'm not so sure how that works out. We always expected, being a second-round pick, that Hamler would be able to jump over Tim Patrick, but then seeing how good of a player Tim Patrick is, it's definitely not something that's like overly realistic to see that happen. I certainly think as long as Tim Patrick is a Bronco, he definitely has a shot to start because he has put up fantastic numbers and been a very reliable weapon. AJ Green's a guy I've drafted a few shares of this season. I'm actually going to unstar him there quick. We've got John Mechie, AJ Green, potential names to watch here. Marlon Mack, another running back I could draft. Laviska Shenault, again, he could finally take that year 3 jump, maybe, with Trevor Lawrence in year 2. Sammy Watkins, not someone I would put past. I think he'll have a couple of weeks where he's a fairly dominant threat in that Packers offense. Again, a few weeks, not like he's going to be some consistent player over the course of the season. Sammy Dubb is the king of week 1 domination and then just dropping off a cliff for the rest of the season. So you heard it here first. If Sammy Watkins comes out, catches 2 touchdown passes, goes for nearly 100 yards week 1, week 2, make sure to sell him. That's what I'm going to say. He's got a chance to, get a stranglehold of a respectable target share in Green Bay, but between his health and just his absence, like presence on the field, but just feeling absent from the game and like he totally disappeared, my expectations are very managed for Sammy this season. He might just fall to us here, and at that point, I would probably pick him. John Mechie, again, someone I do like as a big slot for Houston. I think you slot him in between Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks on the outside. Get yourself a nice weapon there. There goes John Mechie. Let's see here. I may draft AJ Green. I mean, for those first 6 weeks, and I believe, how many week 13 buys did I have? Actually, none at the wide receiver position. For those first 6 weeks, AJ Green's got a lot of upside and opportunity. You're talking about an older guy, so it's kind of the same philosophy with Sammy Watkins, is that you're going to get the best production out of them early in the season while they're still fresh. I I've drafted shares of both of these players. I'm going to go with with AJ, just because, again, those first 6 weeks, it's not necessarily like I'm looking for him to produce all season long. I think that he could give me some week-winning numbers, plain and simple. Making big plays downfield. You got to start 3 wide receivers every week in a flex in this league. So there's a potential that while we're waiting for a Christian Watson to break out or a Josh Palmer to hit, AJ Green could be a valuable piece to this lineup for those first 6 games while D-Hop is out of the fold there. Went out of the draft there. We're back. Don't worry about it. What do we got? 2 picks left here. 189th selection. Just past us there. I wouldn't mind taking Marlon Mack as another guy that's just kind of a shot in the dark to be a potential starter for a team. I think that the barriers for entry in the Houston backfield are low. Rex Burkhead, Dameon Pierce, the rookie, and then Marlon Mack is really what you're working with there. It's anyone's backfield for the taking. If Dameon Pierce steps up, wouldn't be shocked to see him be the lead back by the end of the season. Marlon Mack is definitely a capable starter. He might not have as much upside as Pierce has, but maybe he doesn't hit on that right away. We'll see. It's a total, we'll find out is basically what it comes down to here. 4 picks away. It looks like I'll get either Mack or Laviska Shenault, which I don't think I've drafted a share of Laviska yet, so I wouldn't mind picking him and just adding to the upside there with Marvin Jones progressing into his age 33 or 33 season. Maybe it's time for someone else to step up here. There goes Julio. I'm just deciding right now if I want to take Mack. I feel pretty good about the running back room. It is a little bit weaker than at times that I've put together. Obviously, we drafted RB for the first time in round 3. I'm gonna go Shenault. We're gonna roll the dice with the running back room there. Try and get as much upside as possible at wide receiver. I'm not a huge Laviska Shenault guy, but he actually is technically on the trade block or whatever. He may have requested a trade. I feel like that was something I heard about a while back, but his skill set is very nice as a big slot option. He's a physical player, can impose as well. He's not super explosive, but again, it's the situation that counts here. You've got Christian Kirk and Marvin Jones. And outside of that, they did bring in Zay Jones, but again, he's the guy that pencils in best into that slot role, if you ask me. I think Zay is a really good number 4 receiver, or maybe he even bumps out Marvin Jones. We'll see what ends up happening here, but I think Shenault's got a avenue to find success. So we've got one more pick here. I don't think Marlon Mack will fall to us. I mean, he's not going to. We're 15 picks away, so I can start kind of working my way down the board here. Zamir White would be another interesting name to just kind of star to keep our eye on in terms of a high upside rookie running back with low draft price investment. Dameon Pierce, I think I just saw him. Is he down here somewhere? Or maybe I was quickly scrolling and made something up in my head there. I think that's what I did. I think I saw Damian Williams. Hassan Haskins is interesting because he's probably going to be the handcuff to Derrick Henry this season, but obviously if Derrick Henry's healthy, the backup is really not touching the football ever. I think that I'm going to stick to my guns here. So there goes Marlon Mack. Both Marlon and Zamir had week 6 buys. It's really interesting with Dameon Pierce. So you have a running back who is the first draft pick at the position by the new Raiders regime, if you will. And then you've got Josh Jacobs, whose 5th-year option was declined. So obviously the Raiders have more vested in Zamir White at this point in time. Jacobs has not been given a contract extension or obviously renewed that deal with the team. So you could see an opportunity where Zamir is getting some touches, maybe taking some away from either a Jacobs or a Kenyon Drake. And if something were to happen to Josh Jacobs and he misses time, Zamir White is a big, explosive athlete and could prove himself and carve out a role in this offense, maybe get some goal line work. And again, his bye week is unique to this team, so who knows? We'll see what ends up happening with those 2 guys there, but I think it would be pretty dang nice to have that level of upside on this team. Raheem Mostert for the Dolphins is someone who I think might have some sort of a change of pace role between Sony Michel and Chase Edmonds. I feel like those are probably your 2 primary options, but it's all a matter of opinion for that Dolphins backfield. I don't think anyone really has the exact answer there. The draft's winding down here today. Again, Keontae Ingram, who I think his ADP will fall off a little bit now that Darrell Williams, a very quality pass-catching back, has been brought into Arizona to kind of back up James Conner there. So I think, unfortunately, that's a knock on Keontae Ingram's draft stock. I'd be shocked to see him drafted today. There goes Hassan Haskins again. Something happens to Derrick Henry, you're going to have yourself quite the valuable prospect. But again, if nothing happens to Derrick Henry, he's going to very seldomly touch the football. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much locked into this pick here, unless he happens to go at this pick, in which case I don't even know what I'd do. Should probably put together a backup plan. I might just throw a dartboard at Mostert, and there goes Mostert. So Zamir White it is, capping off the draft today. We'll do a quick draft recap once the board kind of winds down here. But thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. Remember, if you want to do a draft like this one, check out Underdog Fantasy. The link will be pinned in the comment section as well as in the description of today's episode. When you sign up with promo code SFS, they will double your initial deposit amount, and you're getting the draft guide from sizzlefantasy.com absolutely free. Head over to sizzlefantasy.com sizzlefantasy.com right now. Set up your account. You can just let it sit there, and then if you go sign up with promo code SFS, I will get in contact with you, or again, hit me up on DMs, and I'll give you access to all that draft guide information and content and whatnot for free for the next calendar year. It should be great. Help you guys have a great and successful fantasy season here in 2022. I'm having a ton of fun getting all this stuff started here, posting videos for you guys. I'm trying to do daily mocks here, or daily best ball drafts on Underdog, and then get you guys obviously all the information you need to have great seasons. So, draft board recap, and then I'll send you on your way to have a great day, you guys. Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance are manning the quarterback spot. James Conner was our first RB off the board in round 3. We came back in round 5 with ETN. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is our RB3. Feeling pretty good about that trio. Then Rachaad White, Tyler Algier, and Zamir White as the trio of rookies. Hopefully, the thought process here is one of those guys hits on their upside and is able to be a valuable lineup piece. Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, Jerry Jeudy, feeling excellent about those 3 receivers. Christian Watson adding some more upside to the fold. Myers a little bit more of a floor play, but in case no one else hits that week, it's nice to kind of have that safety locked in there. Josh Palmer, AJ Green, Laviska Shenault, again, more throws at the dartboard here, and then Dallas Goddard and Gerald Everett manning the tight end spots. Feel pretty good about the upside there as well. So, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Again, drop a like if you enjoyed, comment any questions you've got, any takes, whatever the case might be. I'll get back to you, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.